Hey guys, this is Faye, and I'm the producer of the Enabled Disabled podcast and project. And it's my honor to help open today's interview and discussion with our very special interviewer, Gustavo Serafini, who's also the founder of Enabled Disabled, and our special guest, Derek Gaunt. And so just a quick housekeeping item, and I'm going to give the stage right to these guys. So this free interview and discussion is brought to you by Enabled Disabled, and I want to tell you a bit more about our podcast and project, which is created for people with a disability, as well as their families, friends, clinicians, and therapists. This platform helps dive into how our guests have experienced disability, what has it taught them about themselves, their lives, about others, what tools or experiences has helped them to better navigate and adapt to the world, and what do they wish other people would know about them? What are they working on right now, and how would they like to improve the world? So you can learn more about our project and podcast at enableddisabled.com. There's also a special section there where you can actually share your own story on our blog. So please check it out and help us spread the word. So about today's discussion, what will you learn and experience? You will learn how to negotiate with caregivers, healthcare professionals, doctors, how to use tactical empathy to talk to your boss, for instance, how to use basic and more advanced negotiation tactics to live a better life. And let me briefly introduce our presenters here on the screen with me. So Derek Gaunt is the former leader and commander of hostage negotiations teams in Washington, D.C. for 20 years. He's also the author of Ego, Authority, and Failure. Derek is a lecturer, coach, author, and the trainer with 29 years of law enforcement experience. Next is our interviewer, Gustavo Serafini, who is the founder of the Enabled Disabled Project. Born with proximal femoral focal deficiency, PFFD, disability has taught Gustavo many life lessons and allowed him to meet with incredible friends and mentors along the way. Lastly is our co-producer, Adam Leffert, freelance web and .NET developer, who has been instrumental since the very beginning in helping us strategize the podcast with growth strategies, social media. Today, Adam will help us from an operational perspective, review questions as you send through the chat. So speaking of which, many of us are not unfamiliar with Zoom, but here's some tips. If you like to engage with us today, you can send questions through the chat window, and if time permits, we might open up live Q&A where you can ask your questions live. And we encourage you to turn on video during the session because we like to meet you, but for audio, please make sure that you are muted while sitting and listening, and unmute yourself when we open for a Q&A. So with that said, I'm going to turn the stage to Gustavo, host of the show today.
Great. Thank you all so much for being here. Derek, thank you for being here. I know some of you have gotten up super early and it's just terrific to see everybody. Let's get started. So before we open up for the first question, Derek, there's a point about empathy that I think is important to emphasize that not a lot of people teach, which you guys do teach. And it's really struck home with me, and I'd like you to talk a little bit more about it. So empathy is a skill, it's a trained skill that you use, but you don't have to have common ground with the other person in order to use it. And you don't even necessarily have to like the other person in order to show empathy.